Billy Crystal was born as William Edward Crystal on March 14th, 1948 in Manhattan, New York City. He grew up on Long Island in a home filled with music and fun entertainment. His dad, Jack Crystal, helped organize jazz concerts and worked with famous musicians like Billie Holiday and Duke Ellington. Because of his dad's job, young Billy got to see performers, music clubs, and creative people all the time. This experience had a huge impact on his imagination and dreams. When Billy was only 15 years old, his father died suddenly. This was a really tough and important moment in his life. It made him feel deep sadness, but it also helped him grow up faster than most kids. Later on, this experience helped him understand emotions better, which made his comedy more meaningful. Crystal went to Nassau Community College first, then moved to New York University. There, he studied drama at the Tisch School of the Arts. His training taught him how to act, write, and perform really well. These skills let him switch easily between being funny and being serious throughout his whole career. Billy Crystal first became famous in the 1970s when he played a character named Jody Dallas on a TV show called Soap on ABC. Jody was one of the first openly gay characters on American television who was shown with kindness and depth. Crystal's acting was brave and thoughtful for that time. Even though some people didn't like it, the role showed he wasn't afraid to take chances and that he could mix humor with real human feelings. At the same time, Crystal was getting better as a stand-up comedian and someone who could impersonate famous people. People loved his perfect timing and amazing ability to act like public figures. His time on Saturday Night Live in the early 1980s made him a comedy legend. Characters like Fernando Lamas with his "You Look Marvelous" catchphrase and his impressions of Sammy Davis Jr. became really famous. These showed Crystal's talent for making fun of people while still showing he liked them. The late 1980s and 1990s were Billy Crystal's best years in movies. He proved he wasn't just a comedian, but a main actor who could show lots of different emotions. His role in When Harry Met Sally in 1989 is still one of the most famous romantic comedies ever made. Playing Harry Burns, Crystal gave a performance full of jokes, honest feelings, and realness. He changed what a romantic movie star could be. The movie's success made him a huge Hollywood star and showed his gift for talking about love, friendship, and human relationships with honesty and humor. After that, he was in many great movies like City Slickers in 1991, which got him nominated for an Academy Award. He also did Mr. Saturday Night in 1992, Forget Paris in 1995, and Analyze This in 1999. These movies often talk about getting older, being a man, feeling regret, and finding redemption. Crystal handled these serious topics with care and understanding. In cartoon movies, Crystal brought his talent to a whole new group of young fans. He was a voice of Mike Wazowski in Pixar's Monsters Incorporated movies. His excited, fast-talking, big-hearted performance showed he could connect with people of all ages and that his appeal would last forever. Billy Crystal's name is closely connected to the Academy Awards because he hosted the Oscars 9 times. Most people think he's one of the best hosts in the ceremony's history. His opening speeches were famous for fancy musical performances, smart jokes, and friendly teasing of Hollywood. Crystal made the show feel like a celebration where everyone was included. He brought stars and audiences together through laughter instead of arguments. Besides award shows, Crystal has always gone back to the stage where he loves performing live the most. His one-man shows on Broadway, including one called 700 Sundays, shared very personal thought about family, loss, love, and memories. These performances showed a quieter, more thoughtful side of Crystal. They proved that his best skill isn't just making people laugh, but making them feel understood. In an amazing late-career success that reminded audiences why he's been one of entertainment's most loved storytellers for so many years, he came back to Broadway in 2022 with Mr. Saturday Night, a musical version of his own well-known film. He didn't just redo something he'd done before. He took on the big challenge of both writing the show and acting in it. He brought depth, humor, and hard-earned emotional truth to the stage. The show became a celebration of a lifetime in comedy and performance, mixing laughter with deep thinking. It earned him special Tony Award nominations for Best Actor in a Musical and Best Book of a Musical. This rare honor showed how talented he is as both performer and a writer. beyond the stage lights, his creative voice has also lived on in books. Over the years, he has written 5 books that show his humor, warmth, and smart ideas. These books give readers a close-up look at the man behind the laughs. The most important one is his honest and entertaining memoir called Still Foolin' M from 2013. In it, he thinks back on his journey through show business with humor, honesty, and a kind spirit. Together, his Broadway success and his books paint a picture of an artist who keeps growing, creating, and fascinating people. They prove that even after many years in the spotlight, he's still finding new ways to surprise and delight audiences. Billy Crystal's personal life has always been about loyalty, stability, and devotion. These qualities match the warmth and humanity he's shown in his work as a performer. On June 4th, 1970, when a career was just starting and his future fame wasn't certain yet, Crystal married his high school sweetheart, Janice Goldfinger. Their marriage, which began long before the pressures and temptations of Hollywood came along, would become one of the longest-lasting marriages in the entertainment business. In a world where long relationships are unusual, the Crystals' marriage has been a quiet but powerful example of commitment, respect for each other, and shared history. Crystal has often spoken with deep love about where his values came from. He says his parents were the guiding example for the life he and Janice built together. He has described his mother and father as a couple who always look like they love being together. This simple but powerful image clearly left a lasting impression on him when he was a kid. That sense of visible affection, partnership, and enjoying each other's company became the emotional plan for his own marriage. Over the years, the family has grown to include grandchildren. Crystal has embraced his role with clear joy. He often talks about being a grandparent as one of life's greatest rewards and a reminder of time passing in its most meaningful form. For many years, the Crystals made their home in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. This area is known for its natural beauty, quiet residential feel, and being close to both the ocean and the city. Their home was more than just a house. It was a personal, safe place filled with memories built up over a lifetime, family milestones, creative reflections, and the private moments that exist behind the public image of a beloved entertainer. The Pacific Palisades represented continuity and being rooted in one place. It offered a sense of permanence in the always-changing world of Hollywood. That sense of permanence was badly shaken in January 2025 when the Crystals' home was destroyed in the terrible Palisades fire. The loss wasn't just physical, but deeply emotional. Decades of memories, personal belongings, and irreplaceable keepsakes were suddenly gone. For Billy and Janice, losing their home marked the end of a chapter that had covered much of their married life. Yet even facing such a loss, the strength of their partnership built over more than 50 years was still clear. Friends and admirers said that if any couple was ready to face this kind of hardship, it was one whose bond had been formed long before fame, kept strong by shared values and tested by time. At 77, Billy Crystal has reached a time in life where looking back comes naturally. And with that reflection has come a willingness to speak openly and thoughtfully about the people who shaped his journey. Among them, Rob Reiner stands out as one of the most important creative partners of his career. For years, Crystal has spoken warmly but carefully about their work together. Yet now, with many years of distance and perspective, he has finally chosen to tell the full truth about Reiner, not in a scandalous or controversial way, but in a deeply human and revealing way that explains their shared history, their creative bond, and the lasting impact of their work together. People always ask me what it was really like working with Rob, Crystal says, and the truth is it was one of the most defining experiences of my life. He explains that Reiner wasn't simply a director who gave orders from behind the camera, but a collaborator who created an atmosphere of trust and curiosity. According to Crystal, Reiner had a natural understanding of comedy that went far beyond just punchlines. Rob knew that comedy comes from character and honesty. He thinks back. He never wanted jokes just to be jokes. He wanted them to come from who the people really were. Crystal remembers that during the making of When Harry Met Sally, Reiner pushed him to dig deeper than he ever had before. He challenged me constantly, Crystal admits. Not in a cruel way, not in an ego-driven way, but in a way that made me better. Reiner, he says, had a quiet confidence that let actors feel safe enough to take risks. He'd look at you and say, What if we try it this way? And suddenly you discover something you didn't even know was inside you. One of the truths Crystal now feels comfortable sharing is how much emotional intelligence Reiner brought to the process. Rob is a very sensitive guy, he says. People see the beard, the big laugh, the commanding presence, but underneath that is someone who really listens. Crystal believes this quality is what allowed Reiner to direct performances that still touch people decades later. He knew when to talk and when to shut up. Crystal laughs. That's a rare gift. At 77, Crystal also admits that their partnership wasn't always easy. We didn't always agree, he says honestly. There were days when I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. But he stresses that those moments were necessary for the final result. The friction was creative, he explains. We were both fighting for the movie, not for ourselves. Looking back, Crystal sees those disagreements as signs of mutual respect. If Rob didn't care, he wouldn't have pushed back. And if I didn't trust him, I wouldn't have listened. Perhaps the most striking truth Crystal shares is how deeply Reiner influences understanding of storytelling. Rob taught me that comedy can be romantic, philosophical, and even painful, he says. It doesn't have to be loud to be funny. Sometimes it just has to be true. Crystal credits Reiner with helping him mature as an artist, moving from being known mostly as a stand-up and comic performer to becoming a fully developed actor. He saw me in a way I didn't yet see myself, Crystal admits. Now, with a clarity that only time can provide, Crystal speaks about Reiner with gratitude and affection. I owe him a lot, he says simply, not just for my career, but for my confidence. He believes that their collaboration worked because it was based on friendship. We trusted each other, Crystal says. And that trust is why people still talk about those movies. They feel something real. At 77, Billy Crystal isn't interested in changing history or settling old arguments. Instead, he is finally telling the truth about Rob Reiner by honoring the depth of their connection and the honesty of their work. If you're lucky, Crystal reflects, you get to work with someone who changes you. Rob changed me, and I'll always be thankful for that.